Greetings and welcome back, everyone, to Into the Nexus, the podcast all about Heroes of the Storm. I'm not grumpy, you're grumpy. I'm Garrett, he's Kyle. We're doing this podcast. Deal with it.
Wow. All right, straight into it.
Everything broke. Dude, I was sitting, like, I haven't had this in a while. It's been a long time since I was ready to go. Everything was ready 10 minutes early. Tweet was preloaded. Streamlabs up and running, working wonderfully. And then it's like, F you don't have a camera. And nothing I could do would make it work, so we had to go full reset, which means my wonderful, perfect library of Chrome tabs, they're gone. They're done. Audacity, it's angry, because I forgot to close it out properly, so I'm trying to reopen it, and that ain't doing its thing. You know, it's just one of those pre-show experiences where you just get in the show and you're just like, let's just go, let's just do it. It's working, I think, I hope, let's go.
You got last pick Novud.
Yes.
You needed things to work. It was all looking good in the draft, and then Nova.
Yep, that's
Nothing
it.
wrong with Nova. She's just picked in places that are usually pretty scandalous.
I got the post-death analysis. That's what I got. Like, well, we died. Here's what we should have done. And I'm like, I don't care. I don't care what we should have done because that just happened. That's what last pick Nova. I like that, Kyle. I like when things go wrong at the last minute. That's what I'm gonna start saying. That's what I'm gonna start saying. When I go to turn the key on my car and it just goes, I'll be like, last pick Nova.
Thanks, Nova. Yep. Thanks, Nova.
Thanks. You do the John Travolta Pulp Fiction gif where you just look around like, what? Huh? Why? Why did this just happen? Did you get last pick Nova this week, Kyle?
No. I've been having a great time. This has been a very interesting week for only one real reason, and that was there was apparently a internal NGS Nexus Gaming Series article posted just for team captains, where someone ran an AI in order to decide who was going to make the playoffs, and then the writer of it scandalously called out our team for having awful drafting. And then said, we'll see how they stand up to my opinion tomorrow night. But tomorrow night, we were fighting the guy who wrote the article. That was his team we fought. So he declared that he would make a decision if we sucked or not, whether or not we played well the following night. I don't know what's going on over there, but I know Little League dags get really intense. So I just have to assume that NGS is full of competitive people.
I mean, I was going to go with Dance Moms, but okay. I mean, it's the same thing, right? It's a thing that's supposed to be fun and honestly doesn't really matter all that much, but for some reason certain people rip all the fun out of it by taking it too seriously.
It was great though, because it was like this really weird rivalry that just came out of nowhere. And we're just doing our thing. They even let Mockery get Tracer because they were so good. We won that game, luckily, because I mean, it would have been pretty scandalous if they had, actually won that. But yeah, they were trolling us, and I knew a couple of names from Storm League. NGS is an interesting place.
Are you telling me, Kyle, that there are toxic people that play Heroes of the Storm, and that you might also find them in League format?
It could happen. Now, I'm not going to declare them toxic. This could all be for good fun. I'm certainly having a good laugh at it.
Well, I look forward to watching them take off their shirt at Little League and say, you want to go?
Bat Dad.
You want to go? Come on, ref. What are you doing? I guess it's an umpire if it's Little League.
This week's been pretty normal. Lots of hoggering and divaing and tychusing. I'm 2 games away from Masters and continue to dance around that area, but I actually feel confident there. It's not like when I've previously been there where I had a 1-1 trick, and if I didn't get that one trick, I just felt awful and nervous the whole time. So I'm enjoying it. It's definitely I don't want to say the doldrums. Business as usual, maybe. Like, it's not a holiday. It's just, there's not a new house being built. You just got to repair some roofs. It's no big deal.
Did I see someone pulled you up on Hot Slugs this week and you're like a top 100 Diablo, apparently?
Oh, yeah. Number 22, apparently.
I didn't know that. Did you know that?
I used to be on the Tychus list, too. I think when you get down to people who have high levels of certain heroes and then sort that by the highest level people in the server, it's probably pretty easy to be there.
That's a good point. Okay, fair. There's most likely a correlation, right, between obscenely high levels on certain heroes and being good at that hero.
I wouldn't say absurdly though. My levels are all pretty tame. I only just this week hit my highest level ever, which was level 50 Tychus. But I don't have like farmed heroes. I've got a level 2 Murky, a level 4 Junkrat, which has always been something I'd love to learn. I've said that many times, but I love Chromie, I love Junkrat, not necessarily the characters, but the kits. I just have no reason to invest. But I want to play Sonya. Sonya's amazing still.
Have you been sticking with that?
No.
No?
No, because I want to play in like scrims.
Are you not playing Sonya for any particular reason? Is something taking you off of the hero, or are you just forced to play other things?
Just merely there's other priorities, or it's banned, or it's early picked, or it's not what we want for the particular map. So the Sonya project is just dead in the water. Just hasn't received the practice. And I can go into quick match, but it's not useful for what I'm trying to do in like a structured poison spear leap giant slammer kind of way. I want to delete a backline, not 5 backlines and no tank. It's not a very useful experience.
I will say this: quick fetch can be really useful for very specific things you're working on, and for Sonya, I would say it is extremely useful for learning to land your spear.
Yeah,
because you're just gonna be thrust into all kinds of different unit sizes, and you're gonna get good at landing your Q real quick.
But it's not terribly different. Like, I struggle a little bit on pickup Jaina because that Frostbolt is such a different travel speed than many of our other quick shots. Like, I'd say if you can do a pushback on Raynor, you can probably hit your spear on Sonya. You will now end up where you spear, which is probably the lesson learned on the other side of that. But Orphea is another one where, like, the travel time on Dread is so ridiculously slow and compared
that's a
to
good
something
point.
like
Yeah.
Strike.
Yeah. I feel like if you played Jaina, Orphea, Tyrande, maybe you'll get decent because they all have an awkward delay on landing those abilities, but they're also all different, right? Dread's the biggest circle of the two. Lunar Flare's smaller. And then there's Jaina's is a straight line, right? You do have to lead that. That's interesting. Jaina was like my go-to backup of a backup for like the longest time, and now it's been a long time since I've been on Jaina.
She's too slow, is everything I hear. We got Falstad in the world who is very sustainy. People still do Gul'dans. You do Mephistos, but when you get to mages, you're looking at Orphea, if you're talking burst. Jaina and Kael'thas are just too slow in the high-end sort of thought of things, which is also a little bit to do with double support coming back or a bruiser comp. So there's lots of moving pieces in there that are making those heroes currently okay. I don't want to say bad, because the last thing I want to do is encourage Blizzard or the balance designers to just go, oh, well, if they're too slow, let's make them even faster and kill everybody even faster.
Well, and we've talked about the difficulty with someone like Kael'thas, right? Because if you tune him for a certain player's skill level, then he just becomes a monster in lower leagues.
Exactly.
And that's just it's got to be hard. I look at a hero like Kael'thas and I go, yeah, that's got to be hard. I'm sure there's folks on the team that want to bring him up to competitive snuff, but you just can't.
Well, and that domino effect is always so interesting. The big one happening this week is the continued rise of Falstad. But Falstad still has the bug on his dishonorable discharge, where if he hits his boomerang, it slows longer than it should. So no one in tournament play is allowed to take level 1 dishonorable discharge because of that bug, which means everyone's kind of saying, oh my god, auto attack Falstad's the best. It's amazing, which it isn't really. It's just what the pros and tournament players have to play, thereby showcasing it and making it look amazing, which it is still amazing, but everyone's still saying nerf the W build. But that Falstad has brought about the rise of Genji and Zeratul, people who can pick off Squishy Paper Birdman, which means those are now popular picks again. And then onward and onward, this crazy roller coaster rides.
Which is interesting, and I think what you and I both traditionally like to see, which is finding a fix within the game, within counter picks and counter play, and not just whack-a-mole with nerfs. I like seeing that too, from time to time, depending on the offense, Hogger. But yeah, it's always exciting when you get to see the community find an answer, right? Problem is, it doesn't always translate to our games at home, and that's still a concern, and yada yada yada. But I don't know. I'm still excited with False. I'm still excited about Falstad's kind of mini rework. I would still put myself in the suck column despite trying to learn him. I think I'm reaching that awkward point where I don't want to take him in draft, but I don't think I'm going to grow unless I do.
Like Sonya for me. We both have our projects at the moment.
Yeah. When do you have a personal point, or is it a big old fat it depends on the hero where you're like, all right, it's time to just rip this Band-Aid off and maybe lose some games?
It's a shameful activity for sure. Like, it's real rough, of course, as you would know in the solo lane. Like, getting Hogger Storm League ready was such an embarrassing practice because you just don't know everything. You've got a choice at level 1, which is really cool for Hogger. And I've talked about it a little bit in the past, but the basic rundown is you have On the Prow, which gives you the ability to pause your rage decay and gain rage. So you can rotate, double rotate, maybe soak a lane, then join a team fight. Really great on Infernal Shrines, for instance. But if there's a lot of poke on the enemy side, you might be, and like a Tychus or something like that, you might be better off doing your Loot Horde level 1. That gives you 2 pieces of meat so you can recover in the background before heading back in. But those sort of lessons are impossible to know in Quick Match, where everything can be very pokey, or everything can be very sustainy and feel like luck a lot of the time. And once those questions have reached a peak, then it's time to go lose. Yeah, certainly on Hogger, it was some losses.
At some point, you gotta take the jump, right?
Exactly.
You just have to. You have to, and I need a tank. I need a healer. I think to up my Falstad play, and I can't guarantee that.
That is a very true thing right now. I feel like we go through time periods, maybe when the meta really settles, where your roster sort of grows outward, maybe out of boredom. But right now, it's certainly a time where just having one of each is really important. There's also really exciting heroes like Falstad, Chromie, Sonya, where people might break their original draft plans. The mains might be looking at other things. So having wiggle room right now is really important.
Yeah, I'm certainly there. Like Rexar and Sonya, like my 2 go-tos have been so solid for so long that I'm doing that thing, man, where you self-sabotage and you go, yeah, I mean, I could be good and effective and help the team, or I could be engaged and personally interested in what I'm doing.
That's the danger of boredom, for sure. There are those absolute map picks, right? Like Diva Infernal Shrines. It's just too effective. The full meta at level 1 lets you heal and take the bruiser camps, the shaman camps, and you can bomb the objective should things go wrong, forcing everybody out, clearing a bunch of the monkeys, skeletons, whatever you want to call them, and winning that objective handily, and you can double soak. There's just too many reasons to do Diva there, so I don't ever pass on that. But when I get in other areas, I start asking questions and thinking, do I really want to do this? And Garden of Terror, I'm completely undecided on because the Hogger angles are awful, but it's not really a good Diva map either. That's one that I'm definitely working on.
I don't play enough Hogger. That's interesting that the angles are bad, but
that's
what makes him
ago.
That's really what kind of dictates his maps, though, right? Are the angles?
Yeah, in that case, it was a while ago. They updated Garden of Terror to open up the camps to cause more interactivity and more invades because there was a problem with people just sneaking camps, kind of hiding in these corners. So they got rid of the corners, which means there's no infinite bounce angles for Hogger, and taking a camp takes twice as long. Whereas Dragonshire's great. You're fighting around basically a giant bounce box. All the camps are perfectly bounceable in very, very easy ways. And you can dominate. And last night, I got to no control against a solo lane Lost Vikings. Now, that tells you how long that solo lane went. That I was still solo laning versus Lost Vikings because they were play it again.
At 20.
In the top lane. Yeah.
20,
right.
yeah.
So that lane was still going at that point.
There's a story in that statement for sure.
But it was awesome, and I bounced between all three, and
that sounds
they
like
died
a treat.
Horribly, and it was beautiful.
Nice. Well, I'm glad about that, man. I'm glad about that. Well, before we end our top of the show banter and move into news, we should probably take a minute and say thanks. You know, we've got people to thank, and those people are those of you supporting us over at patreon.com/ITN. If you like what we're doing here at Into the Nexus, bringing you your Heroes of the Storm coverage, you know, free of biases like, I don't know, getting paid by Blizzard. We just get paid by you.
Okay, yes. There are biases like you probably won't hear much about Chen Stitches.
Chatter's telling us to shut up and take their money, but don't you want us to not shut up and take your money? Isn't that what you're doing by paying for a podcast?
Yeah. Exactly.
Keep talking and take my money.
Perfect.
Yeah. Hit record and take my money. Yeah. Anyways, if you would like us to hit record and take your money, head on over to patreon.com/ITN. Support this program. Keep us going as your independent Heroes of the Storm coverage. And also get access to our Discord. Get an ad-free version of the show. When we have ads, you won't hear them if you're a patron. And to our most recent patron, Nicholas Freitas. Thank you very much for your support, Nicholas. We appreciate it. And everyone else who's sticking around, being our patrons, we really appreciate you as well. Another perk you get is access to our monthly game nights. We call them Patron Bonanzas. And we're doing one next week, Kyle. Got another one coming right on up. So keep your eyes peeled on patreon.com/ITN for that sign-up sheet. Head on over there, sign up, come play some games with us. It's always a good time. Even when we lose, we're usually yucking it up and having a good time. So
how can you not?
Yeah, why not, man? What are you gonna do? You're gonna sit there and go, this one have gone better, which I'm guilty of. We're all human.
Go full NGS on this. They were riding illegal mounts and using illegal skins, and technically they didn't say that we were.
Let's see. Yeah, let me pull up my Bonanza Night notes. Okay, I've got notes on Corny, I've got notes on Treebeard, and I've got notes on Doribo. And my notes are they're wonderful people. Those are my notes. Those are my notes for our internal Patron Bonanza newsletters. That's it. But yeah, let's keep it moving and move into this week's Heroes of the Storm news.
We're on, boys! Ha-ha! Let's liven up this place!
Put me to the stage.
Stay a while and listen.
About CCL, which is winding up. We're knocking on April's door, Kyle.
Ooh, okay, fine.
No, I'm excited for it. I live in a high age state, and the further we get into this year, the more likely it is I'll get a friggin' COVID vaccine. So keep the year rolling, because Daddy wants a shot. I don't like needles. I am terribly afraid of them. I am terribly afraid of them. So the fact that I'm actually looking forward to one is a weird experience for me. Anyways, CCL is coming up. The first of 2 free agent tournaments is happening this weekend, as a matter of fact. A total of 16 teams formed within the Season 2 free agent pool and are competing to show their best for the orgs in preseason. The organizations are also scouting potential draft picks for their teams, so you get to see that in action. So
there's stakes. Winning the tournament is nice for a made-up title, and they've all got really goofy names like Clown Patrol, or just there's a lot of weird stuff in here. But these are all people looking to be drafted and picked up in that next CCL, and that draft happens on April 17th. It's going to be live. They bounce back and forth between the various organizations. You pick one, then you pass, and then you pick one. It is pretty exciting, particularly if you watched old GSL. I really enjoy getting to be a part of that process. And here's where you might get to see people get really weird, or if nothing else, just trying to call attention to themselves. Like, what is a Johanna gonna do in a tournament like this to make themselves shine? They probably won't play super safe the whole time because they're going to try to just get eyeballs and excitement around their name.
It's going to be entertaining to watch. Is all I just heard was this is going to be entertaining to watch. Yeah,
exactly.
Yeah. I don't care. What do you want me to like root for? Sensible play? No, I want to see. I want to see the Heroes of the Storm equivalent of a windmill slam dunk.
Yeah,
that's what I want to see. That's what we came for, right?
And eventually structured play and good.
No, yeah, give me that. But right now, I want to see people show off. Give me the NASCAR equivalent of a burnout of windmill slam dunks. I don't know can you show off in baseball? Is that a thing you can do?
There's actually a surprising. I'm sure you can show off. You could probably style. There's probably Smurfs in baseball.
What do? You wear the wrong team hat? Like, how would you
pretend that you can't play? Oh, my shoulder ain't what it used to be, and then you wind up and knock it out of the park, point at the sky. There's actually quite a few teams called clown things. We got the Clowns Anti-Clown Association. Pockets Full of Zeal. That's a great name.
Oh, that's a good one.
Fat Squirrel.
I got a pocket full of bee steps. Yeah, sorry. That's all I got, Kyle. That's all I got for you.
It'll be a lot of fun. Check it out. Happening this weekend.
Yeah. Do you think this is going to feel it? No, it won't, right? Because we're going to be in proper CCL by the end of April. So I was going to say last year it really felt like there was just like months of lead up before it finally started. And then before we knew it, it was just kind of, it was finally going. But no, it should be fine. I think we're having a much shorter preseason this time around.
Right, and they've already practiced this once. They have their casters in order. They know in general what they're going to do with it. So I would expect it to run pretty darn smooth.
I'm happy to see Crowan casting.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think Crowan's a really good personality. Missed him from the Heroes community. So glad to see him coming back and laying down some casting. So that's sweet. But yeah, we've got a bunch of links in the show notes as well. If you for whatever reason, if you missed CCL before, if you need a catch up, they've got a good rundown of what is happening in season 2 and the format. But yeah, this weekend, matches start at 4 p.m. Eastern time, 1 p.m. Pacific, Saturday and Sunday. So treat it like a traditional sporting event. Get the wings ready. What are you doing?
Exactly.
Yeah. If you don't like wings, you do you. The world is your junk food cornucopia.
Sure. Mm-hmm. Tots are fine. Tenders, chicken tenders. Yeah, those are my favorite.
Also, they're doing a live draft this time around, yeah?
Oh, yeah. That's the 17th event I was talking about.
Oh, okay, cool. Sorry, missed that. I just want to make sure we got that out there. So, very cool. Are you ready for a topic that is not in the least bit controversial?
Sure, why not?
Yeah, cool. Hey, in Dota, they're going to start banning you for smurfing.
Okay.
And Kyle, I this is probably going to be news to you. Some people in the Heroes subreddit want to bring up this fact that Dota is now going to be banning Smurfs.
Sure. Big surprise.
We tend to avoid the Smurf conversation. Having done this show since Tech Alpha, we've had it a lot. However, every once in a while, it's time to talk about it again. And I think the fact that a very popular competing MOBA is trying to do something about it. I mean, they've been trying to do something about it for a while. You have to assign your phone number to your Dota account or something, don't you?
It's pretty intense, but it hasn't worked so far. If you go by the Dota subreddit, you see such thing as exactly what we see here in Here's the Storm. All heroes are free all the time. This encourages boosting and smurfing, and not just boosting. Every system is broken and encourages this awful play. As long as the game is free, and I'm reading some quotes here, you can create as many Steam accounts as you wish with no problems. This will never go away. But they are now putting people in control of it. They've got some AIs, of course, because Valve has been working with those AIs for quite a while. They've got lots of problems across multiple games with CSGO and Dota 2. So they are trying to detect it via AI detection. But they've also added in the past, rather recently, a straight up report a Smurf button. And then a human being will go in there and possibly take the account and forcibly move it up. So this would be more of a maybe not exactly a Smurf problem, more like you played Dota once, were bottom of the barrel, went and played maybe Heroes of the Storm and League of Legends, came back to Dota, now you're much better. So you get reported for smurfing. They don't see any sort of matching accounts. They don't see any sort of real problems. You're just not in your particular league. And so they're going to say, hey, rather than ruining or affecting the games along that drive, let's go ahead and put you at your destination.
That's cool. I'm glad that it's a human element, right? It doesn't usually lead to the quickest response, but it usually does lead to a slightly more intelligent response.
Right. There's a lot of mysteries in our current era of internet culture with this. There are people who run massive YouTube accounts that get strikes on them on extremely old videos. And you just go, this is like one of your core employees. Why would you strike down and threaten the livelihood of someone that is making you this much money?
What's the connection here? Are you talking about people who stream Smurf accounts? Like we've talked about them here, like the Bronze to X League challenges that plenty of streamers have done multiple times. It makes for good content. It's educational.
It is educational to do a Bronze to GM challenge. And that's kind of what I'm talking about here. The human element is always more of a after the fact reporter, which always seemed weird to me, because when you have these stars in your game or your platform, it seems like you should have an agent, basically. Like, something happens on somebody's stream and bam, they're offline for weeks. It's a huge scandal. They're getting demonetized, blah, blah, blah is going on. And but this is one of your core people. How did this happen? And so I'm curious to see if these human beings in the background are going to be assigned to someone like Bulldog, for instance, that is going to be assigned to particular streamers who have many Bronze to GM challenges under their belts, or traditionally are usually streaming on a Smurf account.
It's strange, right? I mean, I don't mind that. I kind of like the idea of everyone being treated equally, regardless of internet fame.
True. That's true.
But at the same time, I mean, my brain goes to the other side of this. Is like, well, what about smurfing when it's entertaining, educational, or legitimately helpful to the community? Which I would argue some of those challenges have been. I don't think where the majority of the conversation is going in the community, for sure. At least on the hero side of things, a lot of the reaction I've seen from the community is, "Oh hell yeah, can we get this, please? Ban the living hell out of the Smurfs." But
which does bring up the obvious point in that Dota and Valve are assigning human beings to this task, and all signs show that human beings will not be assigned by Blizzard to any sort of heroes-related tasks outside the team we have.
Right. And so that's where, like, if we want to start connecting this conversation to Heroes of the Storm, which I think it's time to start doing that, there's a lot of reality checks that need to be had. The first and most obvious of which is the Heroes team is a lot smaller now than it ever used to be. So what are we really asking? Are we asking that we take development time that could go to new content and instead have it go to restricting Smurfs? Is that what we want? Because that's where my brain takes it.
I certainly understand that thought process. And there is a rhythm on Reddit that we can track on a calendar that basically says, content patch, you got yourself like a Smurf-free argument month after that. You got a balance patch, maybe a week. You have a balance that's not content balance patch. Smurfing is right on the horizon. Like we're about to have this conversation again. And I do think there is a certain turmoil that content brings about, or, even just like non-content cosmetics, like a new skin for Tracer means a billion Tracers suddenly. And we don't know who's smurfing. We have no idea what's going on. And so the smurfing conversation stops for a time. Dota's having a really interesting problem right now in that one of their very core and very powerful basic heroes, Dragon Knight, is the star of their Netflix anime. Therefore, his win rate is plummeting because people watch the anime, go, oh, sick, what's this game about? Jump in, pick the hero they saw in the anime, and are tanking the win rate.
What? You've derailed me because my brain just goes, why is there a Dota anime?
Because they paid for it, and it's advertising, and people. I think there's something to it. Like that to me is why I love the StarCraft cinematics that are just units, not story-based ones. Like that beginning of Legacy of the Void. That mental graphics I can insert on top of Artanis now, and his actions, even though Blade Dash is heckin' silly, and he slides his feet around like he's wearing the weirdest rotating rollerblades in the world, makes him more badass because I can put my imagination on top of it.
I think I'm just a grump that like the Dota's entire roster is just legally different Warcraft 3 models.
Yes,
and the idea of making lore for that is just absurd to me. But
right, we're making a copy, and then we take that copy and we made a copy, and now we're making an anime to build lore out of the copies of copies, and it's just getting a little flimsy and weird.
And at the top of all of this is Warhammer, which we're not even bringing up. And it's just like, how many Xeroxes deep are we now?
Right, but then there's Tolkien, and like it all plays into each other. There's only so many words about how you combine them, right? Like a good movie you've already heard the story of, but the father, oh my God, like who cares? It's all about how you presented it.
Yeah.
And apparently, I haven't watched the Dota anime. I want to. I'm gonna sit down and do it, but apparently it's like full of cursing. It's like, oh, we're hardcore, and like, it's Castlevania time.
I'm sorry, I just can't help that. But now think about all the things in the world that you either haven't watched or haven't given the time of day because you read the ending of on Wikipedia. But apparently the Dota anime is the top of your list, Kyle. I will never understand you as a pop culture being.
You can understand me because I play Heroes of the Storm, and I love it. Like everything I do is compared to Heroes of the Storm. Half an hour TV show. Will this give me greater joy than playing a game of Heroes of the Storm?
That's how you live your life. And you're not joking. I know this is not a bit. I know this is actually how you live your life.
Staring down that barrel, I go,
Yeah. Well, anyways, bringing it back around to the serious conversation of smurfing and Heroes of the Storm, if something like this should be done in the game itself, if we should start going after smurfs and HOTS. My question goes to, can we? Not should we? I'm not even sure the bandwidth of the team exists.
Right. There are some hints that things are stretched a little thin, such as Brew, the art designer, is the one apparently running the search updates. Like if you wanted to type in Rhaegar or dog in the search, he's the one that's making that possible nowadays. And if you go in there and you type Diablo and Volok pops up first, the way to get that fixed so it shows Diablo from Diablo first is we talk to Brew, the art designer, to get that done. And it's awesome that he's his personal time
hold
to
up.
do that.
We've had Brew on the show. Is Brew okay with us saying that? I'm not sure I want to advocate for people being like, yo, Brew, I'd rather the search work this way.
Oh, sure. Yeah, no. He was talking about it on Reddit and saying how, it's not a simple system. This isn't, you don't just go in there and like list keywords like you're making a YouTube video. It's actually a pretty complicated process. He was talking about it all last week. So he's in there just bringing it up. But, let's say I want to search Mal'Ganis and I type MEL. Requesting that is actually kind of a big deal and takes a lot of time to get done. Which there are some nice spell corrections, like Rhaegar. If I misspell Rhaegar, I can find Rhaegar.
Gotcha. Well, that's good. Because I always misspell Rhaegar.
Yeah, the H and the G are just flipping around all the time. Nobody knows. They're in one order in the alphabet, and then they're different in this name. Who cares? I think the human element is really powerful here, though, because the AI builds up confidence to make these actions and ban these accounts fully. And then there's also maybe a further step where you then try to connect accounts and maybe ban other accounts that have been associated with it or have been perhaps the person's main. In the case of those streamers I mentioned, like if we were to take this opportunity to go after fan, I don't know, they would make the simple connection by human beings of, oh, hey, not fan, we banned that account for smurfing. Also, we totally saw him playing not fan on his account on Twitch. So we're going to ban his main account too. But that is a human element that has to happen.
I still have a lot of feelings.
Sure. And as you should, because it affects us all very differently.
Yeah, right. I mean, I think just last week we were talking about on the show, like what league are you in and how bad it is, or how much are you affected by Smurfs at that league? And if you are in the mid plats, this is probably not that much.
It's such a weird conversation to have too when we involve higher end players, because it seems it lowers its priority the further you go up. Because let's say you got a bronze account Vala who is right clicking like madness, executing a nice hungering arrow, vault hungering arrow combo. It destroys. And sometimes when you watch a bronze replay, the real problem is they're just typing too much, or they have a bad internet connection. Sometimes they're not even looking at the fight. They lose control of their camera. So we would say, from the outside looking down, here's all these things you could do better. And maybe that player informed you to your face via hungering arrow, vault hungering arrow, how you might want to execute things going out. But we also have heavily, heavily diverse heroes. So being owned by Vala while you're trying to learn Lili is useless. And of course you want to report that for smurfing and get it out of your particular game. And after all, that's what matchmaking is for, is so people can enjoy a game casually without having to bet and gamble their evening into having a good time. So there's absolutely great reasons to get rid of Smurfs. I think we're both sort of circling that area of it's not a priority because the content we want would be affected. But it'd be beautiful to have that.
Yes. Yeah. No, it's a good counterpoint. Because I have by no means, I want to make it clear, I'm not saying that they shouldn't get rid of Smurfs. I'm simply concerned about waiting even longer for the next patch because they decided to put their effort in that arena.
Sure. And there's also people like me, I'll throw myself under the bus here a little bit, that would declare myself an ethical Smurf. I smurfed only Assassin because I suck at it. And we climbed immediately from Gold 1 to Plat 1. But then we hit our wall. Oh, but how many games did we affect along the way, right? I feel bad about that. I do.
Low teens. There's actually a number to that.
Sure. We were getting 500 points a game. And so we moved extremely fast through those areas and impacted very few games along the way. But still, we did do a thing.
It did actually make me leave with a pretty positive opinion of the matchmaking system in Heroes of the Storm, because I'm like, it kind of did its job.
Yeah, it got us right where we need to be, where we sucked again. And that's perfect.
Yeah, and I was thinking, I was like, if I wanted to keep having this experience, it would be really inconvenient because I would need to keep making new accounts. But some people do. To some people, that's just not that inconvenient. Apparently to me, it's I'm too lazy to want to make a new Gmail.
Well, and I want to take this conversation a little bit more nebulous and further, because I have been hanging out with a Smurf extraordinaire, someone who gets a lot of flack on Reddit, on my team for NGS, baby on board, Mockery. And Mockery plays Tracer at an extremely high level and is well known for his Tracer play. So it's banned every single game except for when the enemy team tried to troll us last night or something like that. Because we have to first pick it, because otherwise it's going to get banned out and all that sort of thing. The perfect position for a Tracer pick is naturally at the very, very end. So let's for sake of example, and for this conversation, let's say poor guy. This poor guy who loves Tracer so much and loves playing the hero so exclusively never gets to pick it in the preferred spot because it's either banned or picked ahead of them so that he can't play it, picked by the enemy team. And that frustration builds, and it builds, and it builds, and you just want to play this one game. Imagine logging into World of Warcraft, and it's like, you know what? Gruul thinks your Warlock in BC is too powerful, so he's going to ban your Warlock. Do you have anything else? Like, well, I guess I could go level something, I guess. That's what it's like For someone who I've seen there's this one Valeera guy in Diamond Masters. God Valeera. And I have no idea who it is because it's all different accounts. But everyone knows it's the God Valeera. Like after a game. And then for the rest of this night, his night is ruined in a sense. If all you love is Valeera, you play one game on the Smurf you made, and then you queue up for the next game, and everybody, at least there's one person in the previous game, and they're like, that's the Valeera main, that's that guy. Let's not let him play what he wants.
What if we could change our names as willy-nilly as we can on Twitter?
Well, that's what Steam allows, which is why they have to have extra protections, like Smurf detection and human resources put in there.
That's the kind of thing where I go, I think there's better design solutions to that problem in particular. But there's also, this is locked into BattleNet, right? Which most games, well, no, because then you have your character name in World of Warcraft, your character names in Diablo. Like, there's a lot of games that kind of fudge that rule, but it just comes, we keep circling back around to, I don't know how difficult a lot of these are to execute in terms of actually designing it into Heroes of the Storm.
Well, and let's go even further, because I think it's safe to say that a lot of mechanics in video games have been happy accidents. They've designed cool heroes, they made them do things on maps, and soaking became important. Or taking out a certain tower in a certain order, opening up a win condition, probably wasn't directly planned by the designers. It just came about by nature of playing a lot, which players are always going to be way better at. So, is there a Smurf problem in Dota because the bizarre elements that make up a game like macro and micro? If it was all micro, there probably wouldn't be that big of a Smurf problem in comparison to somebody who knows how to buy the exact item, what rotation to do the jungle in, and where people like to rotate, where to ward, and all that sort of stuff builds up. I'm very, very curious to see what the future of video game looks like as we embrace fun. Like, there's a very powerful argument from people right now about Overwatch 2. Get rid of the payload. Everybody's bored on the payload. So stop this madness.
How? I just don't. I get Overwatch. I understand that. I don't understand how helpful it is to pull on the thread of, well, if it was more micro, would it matter? Like, it doesn't matter. You're not going to live in that reality. Like, Dota is Dota and Heroes is Heroes, right? Like, we're not going to have a major upset to the way that the game is played to get around fixing the Smurf issue, right? Like, I mean, and kind of, I think if we boil this down, this conversation is a lot about that, right? Like, how of all the different ways that we're thinking about this, how much are we bending over backwards for something that might have a simpler solution? And
well, that's what
is
I'm saying. Maybe our games have baked in some extreme unfun naturally elements to them. And so people go about in extremely weird ways to game that system. And that's not new at all. Like, there are people who struggle to micro, but they're really, really good at noting a draft advantage. And so all their efforts go into creating a draft advantage, or people who maybe can't aim their skill shots. So they take up heroes that don't have skill shots. That's a really simple example. People who get really, really good at merc timings because they're not very good team fighters. Like, no matter what your sort of specialization is, you're going to find a way to make yourself excel and climb with the skill set you have. And so we're all equally trying to break the game together.
Yep. Yeah, and I find that interesting, and that's where I start to perk up when we start to talk about, like, what other solutions are there, more interesting ways that we could try and solve this. Like you saying, well, I'm a crap assassin, so I'm gonna go play on a different account because my assassin's so bad, but I want to learn how to play assassin. What if you just had a different MMR when you played assassin, right?
Sure.
Like, you and I have brought up StarCraft 2 multiple times. You have a different ladder rank for all three races because they are so unique. They're so vastly different. And I think that argument can absolutely be made for different heroes in Heroes of the Storm, let alone different roles. But what the hell does that even look like, right? Like, how do you do that in a draft environment where they've got to match you with 4 other people? They don't know what you're about to pick, and they don't want to restrict that, and I can completely understand that because I don't want them to restrict that. I want them to be like, well, you signed up for your damage queue. You're only allowed to pick damage. Sorry.
Well, and I'm straight up abandoning on my team right now. It doesn't feel great, but I'm in Diamond 1, which means I am part of this new rule that I still fully don't understand, where everyone gets elevated to my MMR, which means the queue time is awful. 20 minutes. Like, no one wants to sit through that. But Mockery's in Masters, so we can't play with him on his main account, so he goes and grabs a Smurf. And if I then say on top of that, oh, let me go grab my Smurf, well, now we have 2 liars on the team. And the game is plats and golds. Like, that's not fair to anybody. So I straight up leave because that juju just wouldn't sit with me right. Playing one-on-one with you, doing my off-pick thing, fine. But if I'm going to go draft Diva on my Smurf, I'm not doing that. That's dirty. That's weird.
It's murky for sure. And I'm not talking about the hero. It's a bad joke. Well, we got an email about smurfing and might as well bring it in now while we're on the subject, yeah?
Yeah.
Ben wrote into itncast@gmail.com and said, I started ladder climbing about a year ago in Bronze 4 and have climbed as high as Gold 1, but seem to have really been stuck in Gold 3 for about 4 months now. Seemingly every other game has someone either just oppressively dominating or playing a very niche hero Goldies don't know how to handle. This is very frustrating, as I just want to play with and against similarly skilled players instead of these dirty Smurfs. Dirty was in parentheticals. What kind of advice would you offer for someone who tends to fill each draft? Thanks, keep up the good work. P.S. If Smurfs exist because of a lack of high-level players in queue, doesn't high-level players choosing to Smurf instead of play on their mains kind of add to the problem they're avoiding? Yes, and we've mentioned that before. It's a self-fulfilling prophecy.
Oh, it's a dirty spiral too, because you also have things like the CCL negatively impacting us right now, and it's not a bad thing by itself in a vacuum. A lot of players are looking to have eyeballs on them and are going into in-houses, which then get casted on caster channels like Bahamut's channel. So they're upset about the matchmaking in high leagues because the queues are so long. So some of them Smurf, but some of them go make custom games and battle each other in there. So you got 10 people, all who could be in queue, filling out the queue for people who don't know people. Instead, they're removing themselves and putting themselves in this vacuum. And on the side, you have people who go and Smurf. So top end is just in general not filled out, which again isn't a bad thing because in-houses are really, really valuable because you got to try certain things. And for instance, if you're going to learn Falstad for the upcoming CCL weekend and you're not allowed to pick Dishonorable Discharge, you have a higher chance to actually have your team be okay with you going a lesser build, quote, air quotes there. Or hey, there was a Mephisto game played last week where he went Consume Soul, despite doing a whole build that would have absolutely dominated with Durance of Hate. But Durance of Hate was bugged. So they're putting themselves in these environments where they can actually practice what they're going to be practicing. But it all causes, of course, bad queue times at the top. As for our Gold Rider in here, I do immediately gravitate to your fill word because I go, ooh, like if there's heroes that, and you mentioned other people don't understand, but let's kind of center it back. If there's heroes doing really, really unique things and you've played against these really unique things on 5 different heroes, you're not actually learning what those unique things are, how you're going to affect them. So maybe you need to, in order to climb here, reduce your hero pool very far down so that when you see that Smurf Valera, you at least know, okay, well, my Sonya does this for Valera.
Yeah, it's a piece of advice we've given before. I like that you framed it that way, but we have also framed it in the past that you need to be a little bit selfish at times. You need to believe in yourself and the quality of your picks, that you know how to play. And you need to bring that with you and know when it's the right time to just lean into that and be like, nah, I'm sorry, I'm not drafting around your weird esoteric pick. I'm going to pick what I know and what I excel with, and we're going to try and make this work. Your meta understanding of what makes a good comp can only go so far. At a certain point, you need to bring the micro is what you need to do sometimes.
I think too that we of course we do. Everyone does it. Wrongfully accused Smurfs. You and I earlier today fought an Illidan who had an Abathur hat, and Abathur was cloning the Anduin, so there were double Anduin heals on this Illidan.
So Abathur hat and double Anduin heals. Yeah. It was gross.
Not at the same time, but yeah, it's gross.
Right.
It's great, and it was extremely dominant because our quick match team had no CC outside of a Lily blind, which meant that he didn't do the thing for.
We finally lost our perfect record in quick match with Lily Falstad.
We did, and it was real sad.
It was a bummer.
But there are situations where certain snowball heroes, such as, I don't know if people ever accuse Butcher, is that Smurf Butcher over there? Bleh. Like, chances are probably not. Not just because of like skill cap or skill floor kind of things, just the fact that some heroes are designed in such snowbally ways that the feast or famine was definitely feast here, and it dominated. And I've seen plenty of 5-stacks lose, of course, but when the 5-stack wins, we all, get upset about it. So it's a constant mental battle, but I do wonder if ultimately at the end of the day, I would love that human element. I would love to see actual action being taken on people who are blatantly and perhaps publicly on their streams abusing the system. However, I do wonder if there are game elements that cause this smurfing issue. And in the future, we simply won't have games that encourage this sort of thing because there's no reason to. What's fun is correct. Not Smurf Greymane taking a camp at the perfect time and making it to objective, which is game knowledge. That would win that game.
Yeah, that is fair. Yeah. Just don't fill every game, Ben. It's really my like TLDR on this. But it also tied into the Smurf conversation really well.
And I really don't feel like it's a population issue when we get to the middle leagues. We can absolutely say that at the top, but I do want to see what they have in their pocket. We are hungry for the patch. There is a lot of talk about a PTR next week, which is entirely fabricated. I have no idea what the PTR would be about unless they're doing another anomaly, which they said they're not. But we took away the anomalies so we could work on systems or bigger ideas. And I think we are all just starving to see what those are and what you got for us in 2 weeks. 2 weeks. Season's coming to a close. Christmas is never over here in Oregon. It's kind of weird. Everyone just kind of picks one holiday and then sticks to it. Like, there's still pumpkins outside, and one guy, like, across the street still has an inflatable snowman, which is inflated. That's the weirdest part about it, is he still has it plugged in. Like, it's not just sitting there on the floor gathering leaves. It is inflated in the backyard.
Boy, the amount of complaints I would expect to see on our HOA's Facebook group if that was still happening in our neighborhood. Yeah, dude. Oh my God. I just joined that group because I found out it existed and like there was actually some useful information. The pearl clutching that happens on a neighborhood's HOA Facebook group.
Ugh.
It sets off all of my triggers. All of them. I can't do it.
Yeah.
It is. And also, if that isn't like the most middle-aged sentence I've said all week, I don't know what is. But yeah. Yeah.
I mean, we all have our things. I'm going to watch Jungle Book later because it has monkeys, snakes, cats, bears. I think Flynn's going to love it. We all have our things we're living through right now that aren't heroes related. But that sounds awful. Also, thank you very much to everyone who supports the show. So we actually have, we can afford to keep roofs over our head and have these really boring middle-aged stories to tell you. Yeah. All these boring things happen in the background thanks to your support at patreon.com/ITN.
Yeah. Thank you for sincere thanks because it's wonderful. I'm so glad that I have mundane stories like this to share. So, Anyways, we got some blue posts this week to move into, getting out of the Smurf conversation. And we've got an issue with Rexar, a known bug with Rexar self-canceling W, which is Misha Charge, which is the most important ability on Rexar. It's the stun on Misha. That's how Rexar stuns you. Well, that's how Misha stuns you. But Rexar's got to tell Misha what to do. And the way this works is that, like, when casting Misha Focus, which is the trait, the activatable D on your trait as Rexar, this is how you tell Misha where to go if you want to micro your Misha, which is really integral to positioning Misha correctly before charging with your W. But if you're spamming D and then also smacking W to try and do it, there can be a point where the D interrupts the W. So you hit Misha Charge on W, but there's a weird point where also you were using Misha Focus, and it will just stop the charge. It'll just never happen. It'll essentially, like, when this happens, essentially it looks like Misha did nothing at all. You never even see the beginning of the animation of the charge. Misha does nothing. However, charge goes on full cooldown and the mana is consumed. It is a bummer when it happens. And anyway, Blizzy Warner, hero of our time, got on the subreddit and said, quote, "I was able to reproduce this fairly easily. I'll see what I can do."
Okay. First of all, we're going to call him lead balance designer Blizzy Warner until they correct us.
Oh, okay. Is this what we're doing? Is this what we're okay? Lead balance designer D Warner until we are corrected.
Interview, and someone should correct us if we're wrong. Lead balance designer Blizzy Warner got in the subreddit.
And actually, like, anyone on the Heroes team within the sound of my voice, can we do an interview with the lead balance designer? And is it cool if we, like, hype it where we put up the random selection? We call him Sexy Picard, like the purple. This is the hype thumbnail for this. This week, Into the Nexus interviews new Heroes lead balance designer, and I'm gonna screenshot the rando pic, the bald purple glowy Nexus man with a question mark over the face. That's how we're going to hype it. This is my pitch right now. That's my pitch for interviewing the new lead balance designer. We'd like to talk to them on this program, and that's how I'm going to hype it up, and I hope you're okay with it.
I like it.
Or senior.
I'm aware, Chad, that he's senior game designer, but, you know, we're calling him out. We want to get this. We want
to meet you. We want to meet you.
Yeah, that too.
Yeah.
We want to hear your philosophies, your plans for the future.
I also can completely understand if they want to stay anonymous.
Yes, that too. But also, this is going to be a lot of fun, and please excuse our good times.
Also, I'm down. I'm down for doing an anonymous interview. If you want me to pixelate your face and do a voice modulator.
Oh yeah.
Let's go.
That'd be great. Bring it.
What? I didn't know you had that.
Oh yeah, no, I got that. I got a whole bunch of
that's
stuff, man.
That's amazing. Oh my god, dude. That's what was it? Intimidation mode in Spider-Man: Homecoming. That's what that was. That was wonderful. Now you're gonna tell me you haven't seen Homecoming.
That's the one where he ends up in Britain.
No. Homecoming's the first one with new Spider-Man. That's the one where Batman, OG Batman's the bad guy.
OG Batman. Wait.
Michael Keaton.
Oh, Michael Keaton. Yeah. No, I saw that. That was great. Yeah, that was great.
Okay, cool. Oh, wonderful. I like a year ago, Kyle, I thought I understood your taste, and then like in the last 3 months, you've like popped off with some things where I'm just like, whoa, wait, what? So I'm back off the I understand Kyle wagon, but yeah, you keep me on my toes, man. It's all right. This relationship will never get boring for me. It's great.
I'm glad.
It's great. Anyway, do you want to? I'm glad that you're on the case. I would like to see this fixed. It's not great when it happens. It's not great when it happens. And then also, Reddit put forward the question of, would giving Relentless back to Stitches make him a viable frontline tank? To which none other than D Warner wrote, with music notes emoticons, be careful what you wish for.
Which is scandalous. I like it.
Is it scandalous or is it a straight up hint?
That's the thing. We don't know, because we don't know. We don't know if he's actually in control or.
If you put the music notes, I go hint more than this isn't happening because you would regret it.
Yeah, but I also had a math teacher who would constantly say, just when you thought it was safe to go back in the water, and it didn't make any sense. So maybe this is just a D. Warner thing. Like he's always saying, "Be careful what you wish for." Maybe that's his catchphrase. Maybe that's what he's currently into. Like I go
Kyle,
in and out of phases.
We could prove or disprove this by looking at D. Warner's chat history, and I can't find another instance of "Be careful what you wish for." I don't think it's a catchphrase.
But it might be a good thing. Like last eepisode, I think I said turbo 5 times because I was just in this like phase. I'm over it now.
Turbo phase. I believe I had to explain to you what a turbocharger was after the show in Cars.
Yes.
I was like, listen, Kyle, that's something very specific in Cars.
Well, see, in my son's book about Cars, Pixar, Lightning McQueen has a new turbo booster. So, and you just go ka-chow, and then it goes. Like, so that's all I knew.
Okay, well, okay, that's fine. It's somewhat accurate. I mean, turbos actually go, but yeah.
But so what I wanted to know is if Lightning McQueen was cheating in my child's book.
It would depend on the rules of the race that he is participating in.
Exactly.
Yeah, so it might not be cheating. They may be legal. In his
I need to know about a turbo booster.
Yeah. That's why you're not cheating if you pick Medivh. He's allowed. He's allowed. It may feel like cheating because damage was just turned off.
Well, it'd be no different than I declare cheater on anybody who's not streaming because they can use an ultra wide monitor, whereas I will not use one because nobody wants to watch that on Twitch.
Whoa,
a really weirdly shaped video file thing going in the background that makes things all small.
That's like tuning into a 4 hours director's cut just to realize it's 4:3 instead of widescreen.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, who would do that?
You bought the wrong 300 is what you did there.
I watched the whole thing this weekend. That's what I did. I did it. It was actually pretty good. I like the Snyder Cut as my stamp of approval. Yeah. So there's that. Blizz D. Warner getting in there with the comments. I think Relentless might be coming back to Stitches, and I'm crossing my fingers that fixing Rexar is straightforward and doable. With any luck. So, well, shall we take some more emails, Kyle?
Yes.
Let's do it.
Darkness stopped calling.
Darkness just texted me.
It's not the moba, it's a hero brawler!
You can write in to itncast@gmail.com, and if you are a patron, well, you can message us directly on Patreon or get in the Discord and add us in there. We're going to keep the Stitches train rolling with Archivet, who writes Stitches. Full stop. While looking over Hotslogs, I noticed that Meat Hook on level 13 has a 10% pick rate. 4.8% pick rate at Masters and Storm League for the last 2 patches. In a world where lesser pick talents are buffed, how good would this talent have to be to make it a viable or a niche choice? Well, I mean, if people are picking it, I think it's already a niche choice. But this is an interesting conversation. We are quick to dismiss underpicked talents getting love in balance patches. We never try and shot call what underpicked talents are about to get buffed in upcoming patches. That's something I don't think we've ever done. Right?
That's a good point. We've definitely taken some time, I know, on episodes to call out the real outliers like High Five on Lucio. I remember, and there's a couple others that were below that 10% mark. But Meat Hook is an interesting one because it's up against Fishing Hook, which is wildly popular, of course, for those backline stitches, and many people are, for just the pure joy of it. And Pulverize, which all enemies hit by Slam are slowed by 80% for 0.75 seconds, which is also really, really fun if you're doing any sort of Slam build. Meat Hook, I loved on my very, very short time on Stitches right around Mal'Ganis release. Mal'Ganis didn't know how to disengage, so when they tried to walk away, you would re-engage them with Stitches. There was also a lot of Volskaya around then for some reason. Maybe it had increased pick rate or something. I don't know. I had a great time on tank Stitches, and I used Meat Hook to help sustain myself. It was basically a full-blown digestive juices, second helping. heal, 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 savor the flavor sort of build.
Yeah, if you don't remember what Meat Hook is, it's a level 13 talent where when you hit an enemy hero with Hook, it heals Stitches for 20% of his max health over 4 seconds. But during that 4 seconds, while it's active, basic attacks against the hero hit refresh the healing duration. So I this is one I always thought was kind of a candidate for a half bacon.
Oh, interesting.
And I'm not making a half-baked joke, and I'm not trying to say bacon, like the meat. But I always kind of looked at this, and I'm like, fishing hook, you can't compete with that. 40% additional range on Hook. There's a reason it's picked 64% of the time, looking at the most 2 recent patches. And I don't know where you put it earlier down the line, right? Because it's like you're looking for self-healing, you got Cannibalize at 7, you got Patchwork Creation at 1. Where do you really throw it? And I like what it's incentivizing. I like that it incentivizes you landing hooks during a team fight, right? Because like, when would you want that heal? Well, when you're taking damage. When does that happen? When you're fighting. I want Stitches to be a more active tank. We've had problems in the past with Stitches just hiding and hooking and hiding and hooking. And it's not what we as the non-tanks want from our tank player. And I like the design of Meat Hook a lot, and I kind of just wish this was the way Stitches worked out of the box.
Well, let's ride that what feels good should be the right way to play sort of thread we've been talking about this episode. I'm curious if there is a level in this game where people are willing to suck up to that point and then they transform into being decent. And 13 does kind of sound like that. I kind of struggle to think of a hero right now. Naturally, bigger defense matrix on Diva at 16 comes to mind is just like, whoa, like that. Now we're online. Okay, this is an actual ability. With your bacon idea, though, of auto attacks refreshing the duration of this heal, you might actually curb some of this backline Stitches play. But do you walk on Gorge's toes in that way? If you hook somebody and then you gorge them, you're healing, but you can't refresh that gorge. So now you would never stack those 2 talents. Would we, by baking in that talent in full, get rid of people who use gorge in that very specific way? Let me see. While active, basic attacks against the hero. Yeah, so if you gorge the hero, you wouldn't be able to continue this. So if we baked it in as basic attacks against heroes, we might create, by this notion, a Stitches that doesn't walk backwards once the hook hits.
I don't think it's a bad thing inherently. Because okay, so I think your perfect scenario is they still take gorge, but they walk in to do it. They don't use hook for gorge. Think of it as like a mobile cocoon for like you're just removing an enemy from the fight. But at the same time, like if you see a chance to gorge someone and take them behind your wall, like there's no reason you still wouldn't do that.
Yeah, and you take that talent for that very specific use. But I'm always curious about how we could encourage players to play better by making the hero design clear. And I think there's been a lot of that recently, with a lot of these talents that used to give more power on your next cast of it, now instead give you reduced cooldown to get to that next cast. So It's more fun. I mean, let me give you a little rundown of a bizarre thing that's happening with Chromie. So Chromie at level 7, Chromie, but her level 7 talent is Proper Greeting, which damaging a stunned, rooted, or slowed enemy hero grants 25% additional damage for 5 seconds. So this talent, combined with Slowing Sands, is why we see so much Slowing Sands, for instance. However, it's damage a hero, not hit with a spell. So Chromies put out their sands, causing people to be slowed. Then they walk into auto attack range, which actually isn't that terrible for Chromie to do, and their auto attacks are pretty decent given their whole sand business. They damage the slowed hero, and now they line up their spells with 25% increased additional damage. So Chromies actually are auto attack heroes until they receive their buff, and then they will line up their spells. But in the fun, just doing it organically kind of way without sort of knowing that idea, you would perhaps put out slowing sands, then just start throwing spells in there, and then you'd hit something and you go, awesome, I'm buffed. And you'd spend 3 of that 5 seconds on cooldown before you could put out another sand in the first place.
There's a lot to unpack there, and I'm not sure what direction to take it other than my thought here is, would incur other tweaking. Like you wouldn't, if this got baked in, it wouldn't be at full strength. That'd be pretty wild. And then
exactly,
maybe you retool Gorge in a certain way where you don't feel as punished for hooking a hero and then gorging them, and then you no longer have your hooked target to get a bonus off of. Maybe, as you said, maybe it reduces the cooldown of hook so you can hook again, or maybe you get like a small passive heal by attacking any other enemy heroes while a target is gorged or something like that. There's ways you could offset it. We're starting to get kind of in the weeds and getting kind of technical, but
of course. And I've always wanted, and this is just me and my weirdness, but I've always wanted like a Fruit Ninja moment where you get stuck in a cocoon and you get to press a button over and over to try to cut yourself out because you're pressing the button anyway. You might as well click something important.
Yeah.
And if you click with maximum speed, you can reduce that by, 0.25, but at least you had something to do while you were in there.
Yeah. Yeah. So I'm not sure. But like Stitches as a kind of an active self-regenerating tank makes a lot of sense to me. He's got a little bit of it already. Why not just keep playing up that theme?
Right, and chat's making, of course, the obvious, which is worth saying on the show here, of course. We were talking about talents that are being picked, and there's always going to be other things in mind. And this is not the only build. And, of course, someone out there might think Meat Hook is the worst thing on Earth, just like the Chromie build I just described might be the worst thing on Earth to you.
Yeah, I don't know of any build. I'm looking at Hot Slog's builds right now. I don't see a single build using Meat Hook. So, yeah. It's an interesting way to look at the game and think about what's coming down the pipe. Like I said, we don't tend to try and think about what underpicked talents might get some love in the near future. But hey, maybe Meat Hook will. Maybe it will.
Does Hanzo have anything weird? Like some of these heroes that are so pure across their purpose, I doubt there's as many extremes. Like what's you can make the joke, what's your favorite ability on Hanzo that shoots an arrow? All of them do. Like, literally, the design was he bounces an arrow, he charges an arrow, he shoots an arrow with sight, his ult is an arrow, and then he shoots an arrow that makes dragons fly. So, when you add other talents that just add more arrows and explosions, there's not really anything that competes with the fantasy of that hero. And maybe that's something we're seeing with Meat Hook there. Like, it just doesn't compete with why you're playing Stitches in the first place. That's why you go range.
Boy, I haven't looked at Hanzo in a long time, but he has really solid build diversity.
Yeah.
Damn.
I'd say it is situational, but there's an opportunity for just about every build to be good. I love Dragon Strike in good situations. And that 20 on Dragon Strike is crazy. The Dragon Awakens. Hitting an enemy here with Stormbow, Scatter Area, or basic attacks reduces the cooldown of Dragon Strike by 4 seconds. That thing's nuts.
Hanzo is, how, when I'm not good at a hero, I say, hey, you don't want me playing that hero?
Yeah.
You really, really don't want me playing Hanzo.
What's a hero who maybe like competes with themselves that isn't as beautiful in their purpose? Here's Maev. She does a lot of different things, and she's got a 14% pick rate talent.
Let's take a look. Maev, looking for the low. Bond of Corruption.
Yeah, Bond of
Level
Corruption.
7. Yeah, 14% pick rate. Aloon's Wrath running away with it with almost a 60% pick rate, and then Ruthless Spirit coming in with a noteworthy 28% pick rate.
And that makes perfect sense to me because Aloon's Wrath, when you hit at least 2 heroes with a single fan of knives, what are you doing the whole time on Maya but trying to do that exact thing? You're now encouraging the playstyle in the first place. Ruthless Spirit, which deals damage, enemies hit by Spirit of Vengeance, increase all damage Maya deals, is a really, really good, like the entire Spirit of Vengeance build is really good if you're just a complete nub and you can't hit 2. And then we got Bond of Corruption, which is this whole other thing that's kind of off the beaten path. So
yeah, but it is armor reduction on a umbral bind, which to me, like, my brain goes, well, that's kind of cute, and that's like what that's in line with like Stitches just wanting to hook and gorge and be cute.
That's true. Pointless pullbacks on Maiev aren't the most useful thing in the world. And I do wonder if that ability just overlaps with Warden's Cage, which is doing the keep people close thing anyway.
Yeah, and you really take Maiev because like the pursuit power when you get even a slight edge is just so strong. The Umbra Bind it's a nice little garnish, but it's not the reason we're playing the hero. Makes sense. Moving on. Frolino95 writes in and says, I rate this question because I am in a somewhat peculiar situation in my HOTS gaming experience, and maybe you have some suggestions to help me. I'm a decent low plat player, but somewhere around 2019's first season, the game randomly decided to destroy my enjoyment by removing about 600 points for every loss and giving me only 100 for every win, dropping me very fast in low gold. MMR is still pretty high, as confirmed by an extensive collection of data in HOTS logs and the fact that I get paired almost exclusively against Smurf accounts. This situation, combined with the fact that I'm a decent player but nowhere near good enough to carry a normal low gold team against 1 or 2 Smurfs, made it impossible for me to ever recover my rank, and I'm stuck here with my duo buddy, losing game after game versus either Smurf accounts or 5 stacks. Is there a magical way to solve this? And if there's no solution, do you think there needs to be? We gave up after a 20-minute queue and a 21-minute queue. I am Diamond 1 and subject to the new rule. What? But you just said you're low gold. I'm confused.
Wait, yes, I am a little confused too.
There's a lot going on here.
Yes, this is a mystery email.
Yeah, I've read this one before too, but I guess I missed the Diamond 1. Yeah, I don't. I'm Diamond 1 and subject to the new rule. Are you talking about a Smurf account?
It's a real. Huh.
Right there, I'm a decent low plat player, but then talks about going to gold, and then at the end says, I am Diamond 1 and subject to the new rule.
Wait. Okay. We've made an error. That doesn't exist in the original email.
All
right. This must have gotten in there somehow.
All right, ignore that.
Okay.
All right, that last sentence just isn't a part.
Okay.
F that, get it out of there. All right, this makes so much more sense. That must have been a leftover from an email in the formatting problem, everybody. Sorry. Hi, welcome. We are fallible.
All right. So what I would assume happened was you went on a losing spree in your 2019 enjoyment of the game. After said losing spree, you said, well, that was no fun. I'm done for a little bit. And then the season roll hit. And it hit you with uncertainty, which is you were on your way down. It thinks you're in the wrong league anyway. It's assuming it wants to put you where you belong. So it started taxing the hell out of you. And it gave you that minus 600 points for a loss and a 100 for a win because it just knew, due to its factors and its computer AI evils, that you had to get out of there real fast. So the real solution is to keep playing until those numbers start being normal numbers, like 200 is about where you want to see them. And you will fall to the point where it thinks you should go. And then at that point, you go on a win spree, hopefully, and climb to where you rightfully belong again, or want to be, or put in the work to be. And that's where it kind of goes back to you. So there is a villainous, awful, bad feeling thing happening to you because the game systems. Try your best to ignore it because you do have to improve in order to climb and be a better player.
Yeah, this happened to me back when I ended up in silver and I climbed back up to plat with Sonya.
Right. You were, I don't think it was really even, it wasn't a break from the game, but
no, it was a break from Storm
League.
Yeah. Or back
by the time
then,
you got
wasn't
back,
Storm League? I don't even think existed back then. Or maybe it was Kerrigan. You're right, Corny. It started Kerrigan. I ended Sonya. I got the gold like immediately off Kerrigan. I think I had something insane like a 70% win rate. Then I swapped to Sonya and got my ass to platinum. And Rexar was in there somewhere. Anyway, yeah, there's just, I have never seen anyone lose that many points where uncertainty wasn't involved, and you get uncertainty by like taking a full season off.
And there was some sort of losing momentum before or once you came back.
Yeah, every time we've seen this, it's been you've started your break after a lose streak. You went on a lose streak, you stopped playing for a noteworthy amount of time, and then you're uncertain. You come back to the game, and the MMR system is uncertain about you, leaning in the negative, thinking you're probably not at the level you were when you were going on that mad losing streak before you took a break. And then this is a bit of a well actually, but getting paired against Smurfs is not an indication of any sort of skill or where the game thinks you belong. All it is there are Smurfs and they exist. By their very nature, the whole idea of a Smurf and the reason that it is exploitative is that the system thinks it's a new account and is making them go through the ranks. It doesn't know where they belong yet. That's why they're a Smurf.
Yeah, there's no sort of Smurf jail, which is very interesting. And something we didn't bring up in that Dota idea is if there is so much uncertainty, but still the human elements don't know if they're Smurfing, they will end up in a Smurf-only queue in the hopes that all these Smurfs will eventually battle out together and you'll see who's the superior Smurf and you do something with them. So Smurf jail is a very cool idea. And you're in limbo. Like it's a place not human element designed, but by the game systems, you are kind of stuck. So we mentioned, of course, enjoy the ride as best you can, and that's a little miserable.
The hard truth is the answer is play the game.
Right. And the better truth would be, which is also equally hard in a sense because it's work, strike when the iron's hot. So if you are a Falstad lover, you better get those games in these next 2 weeks before any sort of balance hits them. And that's something I've often struggled to do. There have been metas, like right now, where Tychus is still amazing, where I still play the same number of games per week. If I was a climbing man and a champion, I'd strike over and over again, and it'd be the only game I played night after night to get that rank. There are people who got to masters during broken Kael'thas days. And maintain that crazy MMR because they only jump between what's broken at the moment. It's a very weird way to play. Doesn't sound maybe not as passionate as I like to be. I have passion for certain heroes.
Yeah. It's rough. I've been there. But yeah, I like your strike when the iron is hot. There's a few heroes right now that you could do that with for sure. Falstad being a big one.
Yep, Falstad, Sonya, Chromie's still up there. Cassia still has crazy damage.
In real at-home games, Rexar has been top of the freaking block for a long time.
Yeah.
Weird hero though if you haven't played him before.
Right, and a little map particular at times.
I don't think in gold it matters. You can carry your ass out of gold with Rexar.
I think you could probably do it with most things that don't tilt the team. Is probably the real weird part of that statement.
I don't care about tilting the team and like when I'm climbing.
That's fair.
F them. I'm here to play things I can win with. That's all I care about. But yeah. Take it as a really good excuse to style on some fools. Lupus writes in and says, there are perhaps too many maps in HOTS already, some might say, but what kind of crazy Blizzard Universe maps would you two like to see? We've explored Zerg swarms, charging WoW cavalry, and even giant Overwatch mechs. How about teams competing for the power of the Dark Nexus to temporarily empower their team, or fighting on an infested StarCraft planet while avoiding the cleansing lasers of the Protoss fleet? I like the last one a lot.
Oh yeah. Just a Blackheart's base skin where instead you're turning in Calderon something or others, and then the laser beams kill the forts.
Calderon amulets, maybe.
Maybe. I don't actually know if they wear them. It's an upgrade for the
High Templar.
High Templar, yeah. Nice.
Yeah. It's an amulet, so I would assume.
Yeah, maybe.
It's Protoss. It's probably like built into their armor, but yeah.
Yeah, maybe the Mercs drop Vespene gas or something like that.
Oh, and then we could have what's his name? The Egon Riff character talking about Vespene gas.
Oh, Egon Stedman. Yeah.
Yeah.
His name is Egon.
Oh, is it? Is it Egon? Oh, they just bashed
actually
together two Ghostbuster names.
Oh, so Spangler Stedman, yeah.
Yeah.
It might be.
There it is.
Nothing wrong with that.
There it is. Ain't nothing wrong with that.
Great.
No, I've mentioned this before. It's been a long time since it come up, but when they first announced Heroes of the Storm, I figured Battlegrounds would be two Blizzard universes crashing into each other. And I cannot believe we never got that. I figured there'd be a freaking StarCraft map crashing into Alterac Valley. Nope. I thought there'd be Diablo merging over into Stormwind or something. We didn't get that either. It seems so ripe for that, like for the actual crossover battleground, and there isn't one. And that's so weird.
Yeah. It is. It's always, I think, a bit of a sore spot for us and our fandom. Like, there's so many cool just replacements you can get ideas of. Like, imagine something like Haunted Mines, except for instead of the mines, you go down below Tristram. Like, you enter via one of the chapels and go kill a bunch of demons down there, and then unleash hell above. There's so many cool ideas, and I love that. And that's, of course, what the skin event did there around Halloween, merging together the Lich King stuff with the Zerg stuff. So more of that, of course.
Yeah. Yeah, that's the big one for me. Heroes of the Storm is our Avengers crossover of the Blizzard universe, and I want that in Battleground form.
As for like game mechanics outside of flavor, I think a Mario 64 cannon would be a lot of fun. If we're talking just like getting real weird.
Where you fire yourself in it?
Yeah, exactly. So there's portals and stuff. Like you get in the sewers for Towers of Doom. You go between the sewers and teleport in Warhead Junction. But I'm talking about like you get in the base and then you choose based on this range where you'd like to launch to.
So your own medevac Morales situation.
It would sit on Morales. It would, poor Falstad would have a free one and everyone else would be getting one. But,
I'd be into that, man. It could be a Warcraft map. It could be a catapult, and it could just fling you.
There you go.
Yeah, I'd be into that. I haven't had I don't have a torch I've been carrying for a specific map mechanic. I always wanted to see Defile as an ability, like from the Lich King fight at the end of Wrath of Lich King, like this black spot that grows the longer you stand in it. It probably would be too powerful to actually put on a hero, so maybe you make that a map mechanic. Like, I'm surprised a boss never got that.
Well, and this whole Volskaya thing going on with people just avoiding the Triglav, like it's reaching a fever pitch. It really is. Like teams avoiding the pad, like avoiding the team fights, and letting the enemy team have the Triglav, and then going, okay, fine, we'll just avoid your Triglav now and push harder than you can with it. There are things that need fixing. So sadly, when people ask us, what would you like to see? It's really hard for us not to be like, well, we kind of want to fix the things we have first. And then we'll talk about what we want, but it's always fun to imagine.
And you were about to enter the second season of our most high-profile tournament. And this is still an issue.
Yep, still showing off how the Triglav isn't up to snuff.
Yeah, very strange. Very strange. But anyways, thank you for your emails, everybody. itncast@gmail.com. Keep writing in. Patrons, keep dropping us messages in the Discord. Or if you aren't a Discord user on Patreon, feel free to just write us directly using the Patreon DM situation. But that's going to bring us to the end of this episode of Into the Nexus. Keep writing in, everybody. If you want to support us, speaking of patrons, check out patreon.com/ITN. It is the best way to support Kyle and I. And we've been putting up even a little bit of bonus Kyle and Garrett time as we've been playing through Valheim together. So if you want to see those VODs, we've been putting them up every week for our patrons. So go check it out. We've been calling it Broheim.
Made to the swamp.
I made us bunk beds this past week.
They're very cute. Yeah, very nice.
I call it top bunk though because I made it.
Yeah. Well, you were there first. That's the rule. And also, you're an expert decorator. You make great use of those X things.
Cross beams?
Yeah, cross beams. Maybe
X
I'm not
beams?
sure.
I don't know. I call them
Nice.
X things too. I didn't do an X there, and there's 2 different X's. But yeah, check that. Sorry, just Corny's making me laugh in chat room. Yeah, patreon.com/ITN. Go check it out. Support Kyle and myself in the content that we are creating. Also, huge thanks to our producers, Declan H, She's a Bob, Chris K, Sean B. Thank you very, very much. If you'd like to become a Into the Nexus producer, we have 1 slot left. Check it out, patreon.com/ITN. We're live Thursdays, post 3 p.m. Eastern time over at twitch.tv/amovetv. My computer had a minor meltdown, so we were quite late today, but that's what we aim for, and that's where you can find us. At ITNcast on Twitter is where you can get our go live notifications and other tweets. But outside of that, Kyle, you make other content. Where can people find you?
Oh, you can find me at kylefergusson.com for everything I do. But as we are approaching that CCL, be sure to head over to youtube.com/heroeshearth and give a watch, a like, a subscribe. Ring that bell maybe even. But really just comment how awesome that you feel the player interviews are over there that I do, because I love doing them. They're a great learning opportunity. You're going to learn a lot about the individual heroes, but I also just like doing them. So make it look good out there. Help me out a bit.
I dig it, man. Go check it out. Give him a look-see. Give him a look-see.
Yeah.
I would, of course, like to ask you to go to hotslogs.com. If you're not already uploading your replays, please do so. Try and keep that uploader nice and updated for you, but you can also upload in the browser itself. Just go to hotslogs.com, HOTSLOGS.com. Under new management, mine! Go check it out, hotslogs.com. amove.tv for this podcast and every single other one that I produce. A lot of stuff going on in Hearthstone. I'm just seeing apparently the Angry Chicken got a reference in the new achievements that hit the game today.
No, congratulations.
Oh, look at this. Oh, look at it. Oh, it's great. It's great. Go get the Irate Poultry achievement, everybody. Probably the most used greeting in emails to that podcast. So, yeah.
Sure.
Go check it out. Yeah, that's going to do it for the show. Thank you, everybody. Hope you have a great weekend. Good luck in your games. Enjoy watching CCL. And until next time, good luck and have fun.
Take care.